From the beginning, it was track and field. That was my big interest. But nowadays, I'm working more and more with footballers.
Yeah.
And only with hamstring injuries.
Okay.
So my 15 last years, I've only been focused on hamstring injuries. I defended my thesis on Karolinska Institute 2008. Okay. Dealing with acute hamstring injuries in sprinters and dancers, and then I went on with different research. That's a good question. It started when I was working with a Swedish national team in track and field, and I saw all these injuries occurred, and we didn't know what to do with them acutely or during the rehabilitation. And that was the start of my hamstring period, if you can call that. Yeah, a lot you can say. There is different groups doing good research about hamstring injuries. One Australian group, one group in Norway, one in Denmark, and then the Swedish group. And we are connected and we work in some parts together. So I was on a congress 2 weeks ago in Barcelona. And there was all these guys and girls together, and we discussed the problem. And the problem is a major problem, certainly in football, but also in track and field for sprinters and jumpers. And as I presented today, I have 2 fresh new studies about different rehabilitation protocols for acute hamstring injuries in footballers and in elite track and field. Yeah. And describe a successful protocol, the lengthening protocol, that is used a lot today, not least in football clubs. Yes, it's a lot of interest, because you know, hamstring injuries is the most common injury in football, and it's a lot of money in football. And for a professional team, you can expect 5 to 7 injuries each year on a squad of 25 players. That means 100 to 125 days off, and maybe the best players is injured. So if we can have a more effective prevention and of course a more effective rehabilitation protocol that I have been showing exist, that is worth a lot for the players and for the club. In these 2 studies about footballers and in track and field, we have only registered 3 injuries, 150 athletes included in totally. So that is very few. Yeah. But we cannot say that it's because of the protocol themselves, because we also perform a test before we allow them to go back. Yeah. It can be a combination, but still very few re-injuries.
And that's your own return to sport test?
Exactly, yeah. The hamstring test.
Yeah.
That is a perfect question, because first of all, the type of hamstring injury. You have the most common, the high-speed running, but then you have the second one, the stretching type. And that was unknown before we start the study on dancers and sprinters, and we can see that the injury situation really differed where the injury location was, but also the time back to sport. Yeah. And we have seen that for sprinters and dancers, as I said, but also for footballers, the same. If you have an injury during stretching type of motions, it takes you a longer time back about the rehabilitation and how to perform it safe. And exactly. You can expect changes as for all other injuries. I mean, if we're looking backwards, we have learned a lot, and probably we are going to do the same in the future. Okay. I really hope that. Yeah. Absolutely. If you want me back, I will come back, because it's always very stimulating to come here to your company and meet all these very good physios. This course, I mean, it's 40 delegates, and you can see a lot of them have a lot of experiences from elite football, for example, and that gives us the possibility to increase the learning, of course, and most of them are on the same level and very high. I hope we can see each other next year, maybe in a combination with the knee and hamstring course, 2-day course. Discuss that.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for now.
Thank you.